Welcome to Catalyzing Community, a Humanities Symposium on digital learning and engagement. This event is intended to give us a moment to reflect as we mark a transition in our Dartmouth X program from STEM courses, Andy Friedland's Intro to Environmental Science, and Vicki May's The Engineering of Structures Around Us, to those in the humanities. We also wanted to celebrate the edX launch on Tuesday of this week, our third Dartmouth X course, Steve Swain's Introduction to Italian Opera. Congratulations, Opera X team. I'm excited to have the opportunity to learn from the experiences of all of our presenters. Each speaker has a wealth of knowledge to share about digital learning, but not only that, each is also a dedicated classroom teacher. In putting together this symposium, I was struck by how much teaching everyone involved in these pedagogical experiments is doing. To a T, everyone has been quite involved in teaching. The question of the relationship between digital and residential pedagogy is the core motivation for bringing this group together here at Dartmouth. We are all collectively deeply interested in finding ways to improve our own teaching by bringing insights gained, teaching massive open online courses or other digital platforms back into the classroom. We'll have two panels this afternoon, separated by a 15-minute break, followed by a public reception in the Arts and Humanities Resource Center on the second floor of Bartlett Hall. Please join us there immediately following the symposium. I'd like to thank the many sponsors of this event: Dartmouth X, Educational Technologies, the Dartmouth Center for the Advancement of Learning, the Friends of the Dartmouth College Library, the Leslie Center for the Humanities, the Dartmouth College English Department, and the MALS program. I've been assisted in putting this symposium together by an incredibly capable and agile team, including Ashley Kehoe, Laura Bronstein, Adam Nemiroff, Aaron De Silva, Michael Gausvard, Alan Cattier, and Emily Hedges, our symposium planning assistant. Ashley was the instructional designer for our American Renaissance course and has now moved on to become the Associate Director of Experiential Learning at the Dartmouth Center for the Advancement of Learning. She did a lot of fantastic work early on to help get our course and our team organized and rolling. Thank you, Ashley. Aaron De Silva and Michael Gausvard, unafraid the challenges of keeping our ambitious ship headed in the right direction, have come on board, and I'm delighted to have both of them serving as panel moderators this afternoon. Thank you both. Thank you also to our fantastic media production group, especially Mike Murray, Sawyer Broadley, Daniel Maxwell Crosby. I would like to acknowledge the efforts of Elaine Livingston at DECAL and the staff of the Arts and Humanities Resource Center for all their assistance and patience. Delighted to be working with our American Renaissance Fellow, Queenie Zucadia, Dartmouth class of 2016. I taught Queenie in her first year at Dartmouth, and she now joins our team in her senior year as she applies to doctoral programs in English. A very special thank you to Don Pease for agreeing to take this leap of faith with me. Don's a master teacher, and I've been learning the art of teaching from him for over a decade now. He is as generous of a colleague as he is a brilliant reader of the American Renaissance. Finally, I'd like to thank two members of the Dartmouth X executive team for their flagging support of our courses and this symposium. Thank you, Josh Kim and Susan Zaslaw. I would now like to introduce Lisa Baldez, Professor of Government and Latin American, Latino, and Caribbean Studies, and Director of the Dartmouth Center for the Advancement of Learning.
Thanks. I was going to ask for clapping if there wasn't any, so I appreciate that. Thanks so much, and thank you to Jed for his really hard work in putting this together. It's going to be a really interesting afternoon. It's at a really opportune moment for us with the Opera X MOOC having just opened this week to the world, so it's a very exciting time. So I am the director of Dartmouth Center for Teaching and Learning. We call it DECAL here at Dartmouth, and I've been in that position for almost a year, or just over a year. And in that position, I am still relatively new to administration and still have the faculty perspective very fresh in my mind. And the faculty perspective at Dartmouth when it comes to MOOCs ranges. It ranges from having no idea what it's all about. And there are quite a few people who have no idea what a MOOC is, and that's quite extraordinary to me. There is some antipathy. Why is Dartmouth, which is known for our kind of small, intimate community on campus and this face-to-face learning, engaged in doing MOOCs through the Dartmouth X initiative? There's also a fair amount of skepticism. A quote from a colleague, admittedly taken somewhat out of context: "How is a MOOC not just a well-produced PBS documentary?" As decal director, I've had kind of a behind-the-dugout view of watching Dartmouth X and our MOOCs develop as they've unfolded. And I have to say, I'm really excited about what I've seen in lots of different ways. So let me just give you a couple of snapshots. Jed mentioned Professor Andy Friedland's MOOC, Introduction to Environmental Science. So in the introductory kind of preview video for that MOOC, it starts out by looking at Andy and he says, "Hello, I'm Andy Friedland, I have to get this right, the Richard and Jane Pearl Professor in Environmental Studies at Dartmouth College in Hanover, New Hampshire, in the United States." Now, I never begin any description of myself being at Dartmouth. I might say Hanover, New Hampshire, but I never say the United States. And with that statement, Hanover, New Hampshire, the United States, it becomes very real for me that he's shifting his focus from the audience that looks like this to an audience that is all around the world. And that to me was a thrilling little moment of recognition about the potential for MOOCs to reach all kinds of audiences. And it turns out what all kinds of audiences means is also full of infinite possibility, which we're just beginning to see. Last year, Josh Kim, who's the Director of Digital Learning and really the initiator behind this initiative, brought Anant Agarwal, the CEO of edX, to campus to work with our Dartmouth X teams. I was invited to a lunch with all the teams. This was at the beginning of my tenure at DECAL. And what I saw at this meeting was an incredible kind of explosion of excitement, energy, and creativity. And I got it. I understood, like, oh, this is what MOOCs are doing. What I saw was my faculty colleagues working with teams of instructional designers, librarians, media production people, students, graduate students. And they're working in teams not on research, which is very common, but on teaching. And they were having a ball. They were having a lot of fun with it. And all of us here at Dartmouth, we are known for liking teaching, but teaching can be hard, it can be very solitary, it can be very stressful. And I didn't see any evidence of that among these teams, although they have certainly worked very hard. So there's something about this team effort with regard to teaching that is really energizing, especially at a place like Dartmouth, where we care so deeply about teaching. Now, in some ways, what is most revolutionary to me about MOOCs is the way in which they are reinvigorating basically classic teaching. So my colleague, Don Pease, in a recent forum on MOOCs at DECAL, what he said about the process of engaging in the MOOC, it's made him more aware of the form and the medium of teaching, more conscious of what he's doing, and more aware of what's at stake. It's been a relearning experience at every level. And that to me captures the magic of this process of creating MOOCs in focusing intentionality, reflection, and deep care in the art of teaching. And this is from Don Pease, someone who has a fair amount of experience as a teacher. So these are just a few of the insights that I've gleaned from being part or being able to watch the Dartmouth X initiative unfold. These tiny examples suggest to me that stories about the demise of MOOCs are premature. And I know that today's presentations will help kind of expand our sense of what's possible, what's really exciting, and to help us see more clearly what we might expect in the future. So thank you all for being here, and I look forward to hearing from you.